The company picnic was supposed to be a celebration. Sterling Manufacturing's 20th anniversary, 200 employees gathered under white tents, and my father at the microphone about to destroy my career. "Daughters don't belong in boardrooms," he announced, his voice carrying across the lawn. "They belong in supporting roles. It's biology, folks." I stood frozen among my coworkers, their eyes shifting between me and the platform where Robert Sterling, CEO, and my father, was publicly firing me. My hand instinctively moved to my pocket, checking that my phone was still recording. It had been for 3 months now, capturing every discriminatory comment. But nothing like this. "Rebecca here is a perfect example," Dad continued, gesturing toward me. "Too soft for real business. Effective immediately, her position is eliminated." The silence was deafening. Someone dropped a plastic cup. Janet from accounting grabbed my arm, but I gently pulled away and walked toward the parking lot with measured steps. Behind me, Dad's voice continued his manifesto about why women didn't have the killer instinct for business. But let me back up 3 months, to the partner meeting that started it all. I'd worked at Sterling Manufacturing for 5 years, building the strategic planning department from nothing. That March morning, I presented a growth strategy that could have doubled our revenue. The presentation was flawless. I'd spent weeks refining every detail, anticipating every objection. When I finished, the conference room was silent. Then Dad turned to the all-male partner group and said, "See what happens when we let them play executive? Cute PowerPoints, but no understanding of real business." The men chuckled. Not all of them. Tom Reeves looked uncomfortable, and Marcus Chin stared at his coffee. But enough. Enough to make it clear that no matter what I achieved, I'd never be more than Robert Sterling's daughter playing dress-up in a man's world. That night, I researched recording laws in our state. One-party consent. The next day, I bought a high-quality recording app and started documenting everything. Over the next 3 months, I captured it all. Women's brains aren't wired for quarterly projections. Rebecca wants to coddle the workers. That's what happens when you put feelings before profits. My daughter thinks she's a leader, but she lacks the testosterone for tough decisions. Each comment was date-stamped, saved to the cloud, backed up twice. I became an archivist of my own discrimination, building a case I hoped I'd never need to use. The VP of Operations position opened in May. I'd been doing the job unofficially for a year, covering when Harold retired. My metrics were excellent. Efficiency up 15%, costs down 8%, employee satisfaction at an all-time high. "You're a shoo-in," Janet told me. "Even your father can't ignore those numbers." But I knew better. I'd watched qualified women passed over too many times. So I kept recording, kept documenting, kept building my insurance policy. The week before the picnic, Dad hinted at big announcements. "Changes are coming, Rebecca. I hope you're prepared." I was. Just not for what actually happened. Standing at that picnic, listening to my father explain to 200 people why my anatomy disqualified me from success, I felt oddly calm. Every word he spoke was being captured, transmitted to the cloud, becoming evidence. Take my daughter. She wanted to give workers extra breaks during the heat wave. Profits don't take breaks. But that's female thinking for you. All heart, no head. My phone kept recording as he announced Michael as the new VP. My brother, who'd been with the company 18 months and still confused revenue with profit. Who'd failed his Series 7 exam twice. Who got the job because he was born with the right chromosomes. That evening, I called Miriam Foster, an employment attorney I'd met at a conference. We'd stayed in touch, occasionally grabbing lunch. I'd always admired her reputation for taking down corporate discrimination. "Miriam, I need your help. Tell me everything." I started with the past 5 years. Every passed-over promotion, every dismissed idea that later succeeded when proposed by a man, every joke about emotional females. Then I told her about the recordings. 3 months' worth. Her voice was reverent. "Including today?" Every discriminatory word. Dated, time-stamped, backed up. "Rebecca, you beautiful genius. Don't talk to anyone from Sterling. Not HR, not your brother, and definitely not your father. Can you come to my office tomorrow?" Within a week, we'd filed the lawsuit. Sterling Manufacturing was served during their Monday morning meeting. The complaint was devastating. 20 pages of documented discrimination, with transcripts from the recordings. The media latched onto it immediately. CEO fires daughter for being female went viral. Hashtag daughters don't belong in boardrooms trended for 3 days, with thousands of women sharing their own stories. Sterling's stock plummeted. 3 major clients pulled contracts. The board called emergency meetings while Dad scrambled for damage control. "This is being blown out of proportion," he told reporters. My words were taken out of context. That's when Miriam released a snippet of the picnic recording. Just 30 seconds, but enough. Daughters don't belong in boardrooms. They belong in supporting roles. It's biology, folks. Hard to claim out of context when your exact words are crystal clear. The settlement offers started at $200,000. Miriam laughed. "Add a zero and we'll start talking." By the time we reached trial 6 months later, Sterling Manufacturing was hemorrhaging talent and money. Women were leaving in droves. The remaining employees were demoralized. Michael had lasted exactly 43 days as VP before resigning, overwhelmed by a job he'd never been qualified for. The trial itself was almost anticlimactic. How do you defend the indefensible when it's recorded in high definition? "Your Honor," Miriam addressed Judge Harrison, "we'd like to play the recording from the defendant's company picnic." Dad's lawyer objected desperately. That recording was obtained without consent. The plaintiff was in a public space, recording a speech directed at her. Judge Harrison interrupted. "I'll allow it." The full recording played for 12 minutes. Every discriminatory comment, every demeaning joke, every biological justification for sexism. The jury, 7 women and 5 men, took notes furiously. But the most damaging part wasn't even about me. It was when Dad said, "Look at our history. 20 years, and we've never had a female VP. You know why? Because the best women are almost as good as mediocre men." Almost. The jury forewoman, a chemical engineer, looked like she wanted to leap over the barrier and throttle him. When Dad took the stand, he made it worse. Even facing bankruptcy, he couldn't help himself. "I was speaking about biological realities," he testified. "Men and women have different strengths. So when you said daughters don't belong in boardrooms?" Miriam pressed. "I meant they're naturally suited for other roles." "Like what?" "Support positions. Administrative work. They excel at details." "Mr. Sterling, are you aware that your daughter increased operational efficiency by 15% while you thought she was playing executive?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Those numbers are disputed." "By whom?" "Your son, who resigned after 6 weeks because he couldn't understand basic financial reports." Their star witness, a business psychologist, listened to the recording twice and then suddenly remembered a prior commitment. Even hired guns have limits. The jury deliberated for 57 minutes. "We find in favor of the plaintiff and award damages in the amount of $8 million, plus punitive damages of $4 million. $12 million total. Plus policy changes. Plus the complete destruction of Robert Sterling's reputation." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. I'd prepared a statement. This wasn't just about me. It was about every woman who's been told she doesn't belong, that biology is destiny, that leadership is masculine. To those women, document everything. Don't be silent. Your voice matters. Sterling Manufacturing filed for bankruptcy within 6 months. The brand was too toxic, the talent drain too severe. Dad retired in disgrace, his name a cautionary tale in business schools. I used part of my settlement to create the Sterling Accountability Fund, ironic name intended, providing legal support for women facing workplace discrimination. Miriam runs it, having discovered she enjoys slaying dragons, as she puts it. Michael surprised me. He called 6 months after the trial, not to blame or beg, but to apologize. "I got promoted because I was male," he said simply. "I see that now. I'm sorry it took losing everything to understand." He's working at a nonprofit now, reporting to a female CEO who hired him partly because he was honest about his past failures. Janet from accounting is now CFO at a tech startup. "You know what's funny?" she told me over coffee. "If your dad had just made you VP, Sterling would probably be thriving. You had the vision to save that company." She was right. But Robert Sterling couldn't see past his prejudice, even when success was standing in front of him in a sundress, holding a growth strategy that would have secured his legacy. "I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Nexus Technologies now. My CEO, Patricia Wong, hired me specifically because of the lawsuit. Anyone who can turn workplace discrimination into a $12 million judgment has the strategic thinking we need," she said. "Last week, I gave a presentation to our board, 7 members, 4 of them women. My growth strategy was approved unanimously. No one questioned whether my chromosomes affected my ability to read market trends. Sometimes I think about that picnic. The humiliation of being fired in front of everyone. The walk to my car while Dad's voice carried across the lawn, explaining why half of humanity was professionally inferior. But mostly, I think about the weight of my phone in my pocket. Recording, preserving, creating an undeniable record of discrimination that no lawyer could explain away. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But justice? Justice is best served with evidence in a courtroom, with a judge who refuses to let biology be used as a business excuse. Daughters do belong in boardrooms. And sometimes it takes $12 million and a very public trial to prove it. My father taught me one valuable lesson, though not the one he intended. Always document discrimination. You never know when someone will be stupid enough to say the quiet part out loud. At a company picnic. Into a microphone. While being recorded.